Just want to quickly mention before we get into the video, I have a Discord. If you're interested in joining, the link is in the description. And now to the video. It was right there, guys. One of the most poetic, dramatic, and beautiful stories ever told in the medium of video games, if not ever, and just squandered it. I am of the controversial opinion that The Last of Us Part 2 was incredibly good. It's been a few months now since I played it, but I still think about it all the time and have little realizations about plot points and how decisions made early on cause events later in the game. It is a brilliant story that is laid out expertly, and I even like them cutting to Abby's story halfway through the game, if I'm being honest. The game had a strong message it was trying to get across, and that message had two main points, in my opinion. The first point was that violence begets violence. If you do a violent thing is returned to you. The only way to end the cycle of violence is through forgiveness, and that conscious choice to break the cycle. Number two is that people are not purely good or purely evil, and that your opinion of a person or event will be entirely dictated by the facts which you personally are aware of and the life circumstances you found yourself in. Kind of a mouthful, I know, but it boils down to this. Violence begets violence, and good and evil shift around depending on where you're standing. The show understands these messages, but has done its absolute fucking best to destroy the delicate work the game does of getting these messages through to you. The game spends 20 to 30 hours getting these messages through to you by gentle taps, like a hammer on a nail. Meanwhile, the show assumes you are stupid and replaces the hammer with a comedically large hammer and beats you over the head with it. It feels like the show makes changes to the story of the game literally just to make changes. There were so many moments during the show where, when watching, my wife and I would look at each other and just be like, wait, what? Why? What the fuck? Now to start, in the game, you join Ellie and Dina at the beginning as they go out on a patrol, and you try to piece together the events of the previous night as they chat about it. You know, it seems like Dina kissed Ellie. You know, there was some sort of weird scuffle that happened between Joel and Ellie. You're not really sure what happened, but they've made amends since then. You don't know what's going on, and it kind of reminds you how much time has passed. Ellie was a kid last time we saw her, but she's a grown woman now. Things aren't quite as simple as they used to be. Ellie and Dina get caught up in a snowstorm and they find their way to shelter. While they're in that shelter, they hang out and discuss the kiss from the night before, which ultimately culminates in them having sex. Now, they decided to change this for the show. Instead of Dina and Ellie going out on that particular patrol, they go out on an earlier patrol at a different time with like a larger group that we didn't see in the game. And this is where they run into a stalker for the first time. The patrol that we see in the beginning of the game, where it's Ellie and Dina, in the show, it's actually Ellie and Jesse. It's not a terrible decision because it gives time to flesh out Jesse a bit more. You know, he's a character that's in the game, but we don't see him fleshed out too much just based on the fact he doesn't get a ton of screen time compared to other characters. But the reason this is a dumb change in the show is because of why they did it and what they removed because of it. Show Dina and Ellie, first of all, don't have sex at this point. They do end up having sex, but that's later, after they've already left for Seattle. Second of all, we see that it's actually Dina who is on patrol with Joel when he gets murdered, rather than Tommy. And the reason that they do this is because they want to give Dina a better motivation to go to Seattle to get revenge for Joel. In the show, Joel and Dina have a closer relationship than we know of in the game. As far as we know, game Joel and Dina barely really know each other outside of Ellie being friends with Dina. So here we see an honestly pretty big change. In the game, Dina's motivation for going to Seattle with Ellie is because she's in love with Ellie, and she wants to help her get revenge for Joel's death. Meanwhile, in the show, Dina wants revenge for Joel's death. I mean, that's a pretty big change, and completely unnecessary because it doesn't change the result. The result is that Dina and Ellie ride to Seattle together to kill Abby. In fact, it's actually worse than that because it actively undermines Ellie as a character. In the game, Ellie is fucking pissed about Joel's death. She is livid and wants to leave to kill Abby as soon as possible. She wants Jackson to send a group with her, but she's willing to go by herself if she has to. Tommy, he convinces her to just give him a day to try and get Jackson to spare some people to go to Seattle, but then he ends up leaving by himself to go to Seattle. Now, he does this partly because he himself desperately wants revenge on the people that killed his brother. I mean, the man was there when it happened. He probably feels guilty that he wasn't able to stop them. And then also partly because he wants to stop Ellie from going herself. His thinking clearly is that if he goes to Seattle himself, then Ellie's probably not going to go to Seattle. Obviously, he's wrong about this, but he knows what Joel did to save Ellie, and he knows that Joel would not want Ellie doing a thing like this on her own, getting herself killed. He wouldn't want her going at all. He's doing it for himself, he's doing it for Joel, and he's doing it for Ellie. But Ellie goes anyway because nothing on Earth can stop her from getting the vengeance she doesn't want, but needs. Now this plays out a bit differently in the show, with Ellie still wanting to go off on her own in order to kill Abby, but Dina plays a big part in motivating Ellie to do it and to prepare for the journey. We keep seeing Ellie being an idiot and honestly not seeming to be as motivated as you would hope she is. She jokes and messes around like a child, not like a 19-year-old woman who is hell-bent on killing someone. There was a point where it seemed like Ellie may have turned around and gone home if Dina weren't there to convince her to keep going. And that is a travesty! Ellie is the one whose father was killed by Abby. Why does Dina, this woman who at most was friends with Joel, seem to want revenge more so than Ellie? We're told Ellie is pissed, and she gives a couple of angry looks into the camera every now and again, but it doesn't feel genuine because her actions don't reflect the emotions we're told she's feeling. It also doesn't help that show Ellie is written to be far, far more immature than she is in the game. We constantly see moments where Ellie is made to look like a stupid, immature kid by the people around her. Dina, for instance, shows up when Ellie is planning to leave and makes her look reckless. And to be clear, the whole thing is reckless. To anyone with a few functioning brain cells, it should be obvious that this is reckless. But once again, the show isn't comfortable with you coming to that conclusion on your own and has to beat you over the head with it by Dina showing Ellie just how dumb her plan is. It all comes at the cost of Ellie's character. And we see someone like Jesse, who is supposed to be around the same age as Ellie, being far more mature and stoic than her. If he hadn't made the choice to come out to Seattle to find and help Ellie and Dina, they would have certainly died. Once again, this comes at the expense of Ellie's character. And this also contradicts what they just established about Dina, that she's smart, methodical, a planner. And what's crazy is this really isn't even a change from the game, but the way it's done in the game does not hurt Ellie's character. Let me explain. When Jesse shows up in the game, Ellie is in a really tight spot, and Jesse helps her get out of it. It was stupid of Ellie to go where she did. She's risking her life in an insane way, and this moment with Jesse really helps to frame just how insane it is what she's doing. Ellie, running on pure hatred and spite, has crossed the country, a country filled with psychotic zombies that want to kill and eat her, just to find and kill one person. When she shows up in Seattle, she realizes that there are two large warring factions, giant factions. Finding Abby would be like finding a needle in a haystack. It's reckless. It's stupid. What the hell does she think she's doing trying to get to Abby by herself? It shows Ellie's flaws, but doesn't weaken her character. Even though what she's doing is reckless and putting more people's lives at risk, you respect her for it. You understand why she's doing it. You hear the motivation in her voice every time she speaks. She is devastated by Joel's death. She said that the one thing she fears the most in the world is ending up alone, and that's exactly what happened from her perspective. It makes you feel her heartbreak. The first thing Jesse says when Ellie encounters him is, "Think I'd let you do this on your own?" But in the show, Jesse and Tommy have come out to bring Ellie and Dina home. He's not here to help. He's there to grab two stupid kids that have done a dumb and reckless thing and bring them home. It makes his death at the hands of Abby even worse for Ellie's character. In the game, Jesse came out to help her on her revenge quest, which is a reckless endeavor. His death at Abby's hands was partly Ellie's fault, but mainly his own for choosing to go out there after them. In the show, his death is entirely Ellie's fault. He only came out there to bring them home. Every change the show makes is at the expense of Ellie's character and her motivations. It feels like the writers fucking hate Ellie for some reason. And to be clear, I don't think they actually do hate Ellie, but that's what it feels like. And not only that, it feels like they hate us and think we're morons. All these changes they've made insult the intelligence of the characters as well as the audience, as if we couldn't arrive at these conclusions on our own. I think we could have all watched and decided for ourselves that what Ellie is doing is reckless without it being stated out loud to us. And like another thing, I think we could have put together that Dina is bisexual without it being stated to us. Do they think our heads are going to start spinning and everyone start shouting, does not compute, when Dina hooks up with Ellie because we know she was in a relationship with Jesse? No! We'll just put two and two together that she's probably bisexual. These writers think you're an idiot and need to be told these things or else you're not going to be able to piece it together yourself. They've fundamentally misunderstood a basic tenet of good writing. Show, don't tell. I mean, how are these the same people that wrote episode 3 of season 1, which is one of the best episodes of TV I have ever seen, period? It's inexplicable. Show don't tell was utilized masterfully in the writing of the game, so you'd think it would be easy for them to do it in the TV show. I mean, it's right there. The whole thing is written for you. You just need to adapt it to TV and don't make too many changes. The Last of Us Season 2 was a complete letdown and an overall drop in quality from a first season that I found to be actually pretty good. It made daring changes without sacrificing much of the characterization from the game, and tended to treat the audience like it was smart enough to keep up with the themes and plot points. My only hope is that Season 3 can learn from the mistakes of Season 2, but with these writers, I just don't know. Thanks for watching. If you guys made it this far into the video, I really appreciate it. I'll be back next week with another video. I upload weekly, mostly stuff around gaming. This is a bit of a change, being about TV, but, you know, it's a TV show based on a game, so I think it fits the theme, huh? Thanks, guys. I'll see you next week.